When we first covered the case of the 16 Siders children, the story was already difficult to comprehend. 16 siblings found inside a home in Hamden, Ohio, some requiring hospitalization, 4 adults arrested, and investigators describing what they discovered inside that house as pure evil. At the time, I told you this investigation was still developing. And apparently, the story we knew wasn't the whole story. Because yesterday, August 21st, a grand jury returned a substantially expanded set of indictments. And buried inside those new charges is something we didn't know when we made Part 1. The investigation surrounding this family didn't actually begin with those 16 children. It began months earlier, with allegations of child sexual abuse. And now, Gary and Elizabeth Siders themselves are facing separate sexual abuse charges involving another minor. So tonight, we're not going to repeat everything from Part 1. If you haven't heard that episode, I'd recommend listening to it first for the full background. Tonight is about what has happened since. The new indictments. The sexual abuse investigation connected to them, the questions surrounding Elizabeth's mental state, and the increasingly uncomfortable question: how much bigger is this case going to become? Welcome back to the podcast You Can't Unhear. Just very quickly, here's where Part 1 ended. On June 30th, 2026, authorities executed a search warrant at a home on Omer Street in Hamden, Ohio. Inside, they discovered 16 children, ranging from approximately 18 months to 18 years old. 7 were hospitalized, 2 were flown to trauma centers, and authorities alleged the children had endured prolonged and extreme neglect and abuse. Their parents, Gary Siders Jr. and Elizabeth Siders, and their paternal grandparents, Gary Siders Sr. and Christina Siders, were arrested. All 4 pleaded not guilty. And that's basically where I'm going to stop recapping Part 1, because everything after that is new. From the beginning, authorities warned us that more charges could come. But through July, the public learned something else. There had apparently been warning signs involving this family years earlier. Court records showed that in October 2021, complaints were filed involving 6 of the Siders children. According to those records, all 6 had missed every day of school that academic year up to that point. The children were classified as habitual truants. Their parents had reportedly already been warned. But in January 2022, those cases were dismissed. Not because the attendance issue had been resolved, but because authorities couldn't locate Gary and Elizabeth. Think about that timeline. 2021, 6 children allegedly stop attending school. 2022, the court can't locate their parents. 2026. 16 children are discovered inside the Hamden house. And according to Ohio authorities, members of the family had lived in multiple counties since 2008, while largely avoiding medical and other government records. Suddenly, the question wasn't only what happened inside that house. It was, how did 16 children become almost invisible? As the criminal cases moved forward, another complication emerged: the defendant's mental competency. By early August, the court had ordered competency evaluations for all 4 adults. For Gary Jr. and Christina, the question is whether they currently understand the proceedings and can participate in their defense. For Gary Sr., the court also ordered an evaluation concerning his mental state at the time of the alleged offences. And then there's Elizabeth. Her attorney requested something broader. Not only an evaluation of whether she's competent to stand trial, but whether she may have been legally insane at the time of the alleged crimes. The judge granted that request on August 10th. And those are two completely different legal questions. Competency asks, can she understand what's happening in court right now? Insanity asks, what was her mental condition when the alleged crimes occurred? Her attorney has also suggested publicly that Elizabeth may herself have been a victim. Remember, Elizabeth reportedly married Gary Jr. in 2008. She was 15, he was 18, and she was already pregnant. That history could become extremely important to understanding the defense, but it doesn't automatically answer what happened to the children. And prosecutors clearly aren't treating Elizabeth simply as another victim. Quite the opposite. Elizabeth remained jailed on a $300,000 bond. Her defense sought to have that reduced, arguing for her release. Prosecutors pushed back. Last week, they revealed something important in court filings. A grand jury was preparing to consider new serious felony charges. Prosecutors argued that releasing Elizabeth could create a risk to the victims and said the investigation was still developing. At that point, we didn't know exactly what those charges would be. Yesterday, we found out. And this is where Part 2 changes the picture considerably. On August 21st, a Vinton County grand jury returned the new indictments. The original case had focused primarily on child endangerment. The new indictments break those allegations into different levels of severity. Gary Jr. now faces 19 child endangerment counts, 2 second-degree felonies, 10 third-degree felonies, and 7 first-degree misdemeanors. Elizabeth faces the same breakdown. Christina Siders also faces 19 child endangerment counts. Gary Sr. faces 16, 10 third-degree felonies, and 6 first-degree misdemeanors. There's an important legal detail here. Some of these counts are charged in the alternative. That means you shouldn't simply add every count together and assume each represents a separate alleged act. Prosecutors are presenting different possible legal theories for some of the same conduct, allowing a court or jury to determine which theory the evidence ultimately supports. But even that isn't the biggest development, because Gary Jr. and Elizabeth are now facing an entirely separate category of allegations. Both Gary Jr. and Elizabeth have now been indicted on 2 counts of sexual battery and 2 counts of unlawful sexual conduct with a minor. All 4 are third-degree felonies. According to the indictments, the alleged conduct occurred between January and September 2022. The alleged victim was a minor, more than 10 years younger than Gary and Elizabeth, and importantly, was not one of their 16 children. Authorities say the person is not a member of their immediate family. And this is where the timeline gets much bigger, because these allegations didn't suddenly emerge after police entered the Hamden house. They connect to an investigation that was already underway. According to authorities, the chain of events actually traces back to December 2025. Law enforcement received allegations of child sexual abuse involving 2 children. That investigation eventually led to criminal cases against 2 other men, Josh Saunders, 23, and Brandon Henderson Sr., 40. Saunders has been indicted on 4 charges, including 3 counts of rape. Henderson faces 21 charges, including allegations of sexual battery, gross sexual imposition, and child endangerment. Those are allegations, and both men are presumed innocent unless proven guilty. But while investigating those allegations, law enforcement sought Gary Siders Jr.'s DNA. And that apparently brought investigators to the Omer Street property. The search that followed ultimately exposed the conditions involving the 16 Siders children. So look at how differently this case appears now. In Part 1, it seemed like authorities discovered 16 severely neglected children and then began investigating the adults around them. Now, we know the story appears to have moved in the opposite direction. A child sexual abuse investigation led investigators toward Gary, which led them to the house, which led them to the 16 children, which has now led to an even larger series of indictments. It's almost like opening one door and discovering another locked door behind it. Social media is already filling the gaps. We do not currently know exactly how Saunders and Henderson are connected to the Siders family. Authorities haven't publicly explained that relationship. We also should not assume that the allegations against those men involve any of the 16 Siders children. The newly announced sexual conduct allegations against Gary and Elizabeth involve another minor. And because this investigation is ongoing, there are still major pieces missing. Meanwhile, the 16 siblings themselves have been removed from the home. Ohio officials allocated $1 million in emergency funding to help Vinton County deal with the extraordinary cost of their care. The county also sought additional money for prosecution and child services expenses. And that tells you something about the scale of this case. This isn't simply 16 children needing somewhere temporary to sleep. Authorities have described significant medical and developmental needs. Some required hospitalization immediately after being removed, and the state has been pursuing permanent custody proceedings. Their recovery isn't going to end because the adults were arrested. For some of these children, the consequences of what authorities allege happened could follow them for years. Ohio Attorney General Andy Wilson has repeatedly emphasized that the investigation remains active. The grand jury indictments are allegations. Gary Jr., Elizabeth, Christina, and Gary Sr. are entitled to defend themselves against those allegations in court. Competency evaluations are also underway, which could affect how quickly these cases proceed. And the gag orders and restrictions surrounding some of the proceedings mean information may emerge slowly. But one thing has already changed. When we made Part 1, this appeared to be an extraordinary child neglect case involving 16 siblings. Today, the legal picture is broader. So the story we thought we knew wasn't the whole story. And I don't think we know the whole story yet. We'll continue following the court proceedings, because if the last 7 weeks have shown us anything, it's that the case of the 16 Siders children is still unfolding. And this may not be the last time we come back to it. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any updates about this case. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next episode of the podcast You Can't Unhear.